From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ijoma Oyato.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, federal government warns warring community in Delta State to embrace peace or be prepared to face the consequences. "165 Boko Haram suspects under military custody regain freedom on the orders of the president." NNPC insists no funds are missing, explains expenses that gulped the contentious $10.8 billion. And the Central African Republic's interim president Michel Djotodia resigns.
On Business News tonight, Vice President Nama Disambo commends the Debt Management Office for its support as the federal government plans ahead of its first debt auction of the year.
And in sports news, NFF President Aminu Megeri reveals that the plan for 2014 is to improve on last year's performance.
I'm Gloria Umezuke from Abuja. Government remembers the nation's fallen heroes, gives commitment to the sustenance of their widows and children.
We start off with the lingering controversy over $10.8 billion oil funds. For the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, the seeming impression that it has a $10.8 billion debt to settle is troubling. And this has compelled the NNPC management to once again come out strongly to deny the allegations and explain that there are no missing funds in the NNPC. The NNPC says the $10.8 billion has been spent on subsidy payment, oil theft and maintenance of oil infrastructure, including pipelines. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
This was the meeting late last year where government officials explained that $49.8 billion, earlier said to be unremitted to the government, had been accounted for, with $10.8 billion remaining to be accounted for. With what it has described as continued misconceptions surrounding the remaining amount, the NNPC says it appears necessary to clarify once again.
$10.8 billion is not missing. Rather, it is undergoing the normal process and procedure of accounting reconciliation. The $10.8 billion reflects expenditure incurred by NNPC.
Now, what were those expenses? Well, a large portion of the money is said to have been spent on unpaid subsidy on petroleum products from January 2012 to July 2013. Maintenance for the National Strategic Reserve for Petroleum Products also took a chunk of the money. Added to this is the cost of stolen and spilled crude oil and pipeline maintenance fee, which the NNPC says it has incurred in the process of doing government business.
Normally, it's known to all the relevant agencies, and so there was nothing that was discovered by any letter. It was claims that have been made quite clear to the submissions that NNPC makes to FARC. That pipelines are constantly being vandalized in Nigeria, and there is a cost to it. The cost of keeping those pipelines running are the costs that we are reflecting here, and NNPC has a duty to be able to keep the pipelines running because that is our mandate.
Some will wonder why explanations around this issue appear so difficult to clear up.
It's an issue that is important from a technical point of view. So trying to reduce technical matters to a slogan or something that fits a political editorial on a page of a newspaper, it's really something that we technocrats cannot really answer to. And maybe when you see numbers being quoted and they are unqualified, numbers, then it's seen as if there is a breakdown in communication or relationship.
The NNPC says these expenses are legitimate and covered by the law setting up the corporation. It says it hopes this explanation will lay this issue to rest and close the chapter finally on missing billions and the NNPC. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, in its bid to eliminate all adverse operations in the oil and gas sector, the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, is seeking a quick passage of its amendment bill. That, it says, will allow for the carrying out of its mandate, that's bringing sanity to the process of oil and gas exploration and production in the Niger Delta region. The Director General of the agency, Mr. Peter Idabo, told journalists in Abuja that when passed, the new law will chart a course for corporate responsibility in the area.
Like a broken record, the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, has reaffirmed its need for a strong legislative framework to allow its enforcement of laws on oil spill and remedial exercises in the country. This meeting by top officials and staff of the agency is to strategize for 2014. Officials of the agency say it is high time the NOSDRA Amendment Bill is passed to put a stop to oil spill and damage to the environment in the Niger Delta region.
How effective are those laws? That's what we are talking about. Those laws, do they come with punishment? Those are the factors that we need to address, and that is why we have gone back to the National Assembly, the Senate, and the House Committee on the Environment, and looking at it, critically. Well, the bill has gone very, very far, and of course, it has reached the third reading, and we expect that very soon in January here there will be another meeting to harmonize the findings of both houses, and then we'll move on from there.
We hope and we pray and we urge them to bring that very fantastic and phenomenal work to its proper closure by concluding the process, and we believe that they have the commitment, they have the will, and they have the resources wherewithal to do that in a very expeditious manner.
The yet to be addressed oil spillage in the Niger Delta region and the inadequate compensation by the oil companies are some of the reasons for the restiveness in the Niger Delta region. The chairman of NOSDRA Government Board warned that the agency will no longer tolerate degradation of the environment by oil companies.
We know that as responsible corporate citizens, all those who work in that industry are keenly aware of the import of these unfortunate incidents when they do occur, and are willing to do everything possible. Maybe the results have not exactly come out the way they ought to have come out. We must redefine relationships in this industry. We can no longer afford to have relationships that connote adversarial engagements. No, we are not adversaries.
The agency is also planning to mobilize all producing communities to join in the monitoring and reportage of spillage for speedy checks and sanctions. NOSDRA has set up a web-based platform for the purpose and will move on to the use of mobile phones in the near future. Omelogo Nnadi, Channels Television News. And now to the crisis rocking the Omorobo community in Warri, Delta State, where a trust fund set up by oil companies to develop the area has instead become the cause of many deaths. And to stop this from continuing, the federal government, through the Office of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ezoba, summoned the factions in the community, giving them a stern warning to stop the fighting or be prepared to face the consequences.
We will not, at any time, moving forward, allow the peace that is most desired for this country to move forward to be disturbed by any individual, a section or a group of people who, for reasons of not wanting to follow due process of law to pursue their legitimate misgivings, will resort to violence. That will be unacceptable forthwith. It's not a quarrel between Urhobos and Ichakiris or Ichakiris and Ijors. It's a misgiving between Ichakiris from the same homogeneous entity. So it is absolutely absurdity for people of the same stock to carry arms and begin to kill each other for whatever it is worth. So let us allow peace to reign. and don't allow our vested interest to misguide our sense of reason and sound judgment and begin to cause disturbances in our communities. The federal government have decided to place in your community a multi-billion-dollar project, the largest gas city in Africa, which will generate economic development, empowerment, and of course open up the entire place and make it a world-renowned center for exploration of gas and all the other relevant requirements that will empower your people and bring the desired development to your community. And that should be seen as priority. Any other thing outside that means that we do not love ourselves.
Well, over 165 persons arrested by security forces in the course of military operations in the northeast are to be released from custody. Now, this is contained in a statement by the Director, Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, who said that the move is in compliance with the presidential directive and in line with the recommendation by the joint investigations teams set up by the Defense Headquarters last year. He adds that of the number, 157 are from detention facilities in Borno State, 9 from Yobe, and 1 suspect from Adamawa State. The suspects are to be released to their respective state governments. Over 100 detainees, mainly women and children, were released last year following the presidential directive. In part 2, after the break, civil society groups push for the arrest of masterminds of the Ejigbo assault. That's in a moment. Do join us again.